Now, on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
It's 5:07. Good morning on this 12th day of December. That would be 12/12. Alert, alert, please make note, jot it down. It's Chris Plant's birthday.
Oh.
I know this. Yes, it's true, because his birthday is the same birthday as my oldest son.
Okay. Well, happy birthday to both of them.
My firstborn boy is 21 years old today, and I don't feel
Whoa,
old at
Larry.
all. I can finally legally have a beer with my lad. How about that? Coming up at 7:05, Alex Sawyer on an incredible story out of the Washington Times. Her analysis of the Supreme Court. This case is heard this week. I apologize. There's another story we're going to be getting to out of the Washington Free Beacon. Alex Sawyer with the Washington Times talk about this week's SCOTUS arguments. 8:05, we've got Andrew Kerr. He's with the Washington Free Beacon, and he's uncovered quite the scandal on Governor Wes Moore. He just keeps lying about his resume. And then at 8:35, Brian Darling, founder of Liberty Government Affairs and former Rand Paul staffer, will join us to discuss how these healthcare votes are going to be shaken down there. It's Larry O'Connor with Patrice Onwuka. Good morning, Patrice.
Good morning, Larry. Happy Friday.
Thank you. How's your Christmas shopping looking?
You know, it's coming along. My house looks like an Amazon warehouse every afternoon,
Yes.
the front porch. And the Secret Santa workshop, also known as my office, usually there are things under blankets being hidden and covered. And then magically, the Christmas tree gets fuller and fuller when the kids wake up. So, you know, I don't know what's going on. The kids don't, they're still trying to figure it out. But
Are your boys, do they like turn into the Hardy Boys and they start like investigating things and go off on missions to try to
They do. They sit there, they
solve
count
it?
every one. They look at the different wrapping paper like, wait, this is blue. This was not here yesterday. They have not come down to my office, although one did appear yesterday while I was wrapping a birthday present. And his eyes started to twinkle, so I don't know if he's starting to put two and two together.
I got it. Well, listen, everybody's got a little twinkle in their eyes right now because we're so close to Christmas and it's a
I
joyful
know.
season. And there's going to be a homecoming of sorts in Maryland at a certain Maryland man's family home for Christmas, although it's not really his home, is it? El Salvador is his home. Of course, I'm talking about the most noble Marylander of them all, Kilmar Abrego Garcia. I think Wes Moore should give him a proclamation. Shouldn't Wes Moore like sort of name him Mr. Maryland or something and invite him to his box for the Army-Navy game?
The bridge that we're rebuilding, why not name it the Kilmar Abrego Garcia Bridge in honor of...
You know what? That he's more politically correct than Francis Scott Key, that's for sure.
Thank you very much. Exactly. Yeah. He represents the bridge across places.
You remember that Kilmar Abrego Garcia, a member of the MS-13 gang, and arrested and detained for child trafficking and various immigration violations, as well as, child pornography, human trafficking. I want to get all of his crimes right. He has been in custody, and a federal judge has just done the bidding of Chris Van Hollen and demanded his release. And he is a free man as of today. Kilmar Abrego Garcia, now I think he's still facing deportation, but ICE can no longer detain him. A federal judge demanded his release yesterday. He, of course, was deported in the spring, and he was then brought back from El Salvador and immediately arrested and detained and arraigned on his various suspected crimes. And now he was released yesterday, hours after a Maryland federal judge called his detention troubling and granted his release. Do you feel safer?
This is interesting. The judge is U.S. District Judge Paula Zinix, and she found that the Justice Department attorneys and ICE witness had, quote, misled the court at a hearing last month. I'm reading and reporting from the Washington Post this morning. Apparently, she's claiming that ICE and DHS misled the court when they said they had to deport Mr. Abrego to an African nation of Liberia because Costa Rica had reneged on an offer of refuge for him. And so she said, for this, since Abrego Garcia's return from wrongful detention in El Salvador, he has been redetained again without lawful authority. And for this reason, the court will grant him petition for release from ICE custody.
But
she sounds like an interesting judge there. She sounds very unfair and politically motivated, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, it sounds like sadly too many judges that we see these days. Typical. Let's just be clear here, in case anybody is wondering, when everyone talks about this administrative error that resulted in his deportation to El Salvador, the administrative error does not stem from him being deported. There's nothing illegal about him being deported at all. In fact, he needs to be deported, and he must be deported. The only caveat is he's not supposed to be deported to his own home country of El Salvador, because he has claimed that if he goes to El Salvador, he would be targeted by a gang that no longer exists. And, by the way, that gang, which no longer exists, is the rival gang of MS-13. Why would an individual be targeted by a rival gang of MS-13? Well, obviously because he is a member of MS-13. Two judges have found that he is a member of the MS-13 gang, but you won't see that highlighted. You'll only see highlighted the headline about this judge, and it'll be distorted to suggest that this person has been railroaded and treated unfairly. The only error in this entire thing is that he was erroneously sent back to his nation of origin, only because a judge declared that he shouldn't be sent back there because as an MS-13 gang member, he will be a target. Of course, that was done under a previous administration. This administration really doesn't care if somebody is a member of MS-13 and will be targeted by a rival gang. Also, say a prayer, if you could, for Jennifer Vasquez. That would be his wife, because, of course, she has had restraining orders and orders of protection against him in the past because she claimed that he punched her, scratched her, and ripped off her shirt and bruised her in domestic violence attacks. So there's no happy ending here at all for anybody involved, but that's not how you'll see it reported elsewhere.
It's not. So interestingly, DHS spokeswoman Tricia McLaughlin, we see her pretty regularly on television. She said, listen, quote, he will never go free on American soil. And the judge's decision was naked judicial activism by an Obama-appointed judge. This order lacks any valid legal basis, and we will continue to fight this tooth and nail in the courts. Very good. You know, I just think it sums up who this guy is. When he was arrested, Larry, this was what he was wearing. I think this might be a great Father's Day, a Christmas present for a man. He was wearing a sweatshirt with the rolls of money covering the ears, mouth, and eyes of presidents on various currency denominations. This is known as an MS-13 gang symbol of see no evil, hear no evil. So I think that kind of just tells you what kind of cretin this guy is. And yeah, I actually know I wouldn't want anybody to give their husband or significant other a shirt that is a gang symbol with rolls of money covering the eyes of presidents.
Democrat leaders in Congress, they love the Constitution when it's there to protect the worst dregs of society and criminals. But then if you want to cite the Constitution to protect your rights and your freedoms and your liberty, they mock you and make fun of you. Kilmar Abrego Garcia, as of this moment, is a free man, a free Maryland man, and you can thank your Maryland Democrat leaders for making it happen. It's 5:15.
WMAL, making sense of the news. Live from the Home Paramount Pest Control Studios. Home Paramount, the leader in pest control since 1939.
Quick update on the story that we discussed here on the program on Monday. Now, Monday was the 8th of December. That, of course, the first work day after Pearl Harbor Day, December 7th. That, by the way, Patrice, I don't know if you know, it's a day that will live in infamy.
December 7th, yes.
Yeah, it is. And that was this Sunday. And we had a conversation with one Kevin Kline, not the actor. Kevin Kline, a multi-generation Virginian and multi-generation member of the military, who has begun an organization called USS Arizona Operation 85. There are, allegedly, he believes, and there's plenty of evidence to suggest, upwards to 141 crew members of the USS Arizona that were kind of unceremoniously dumped in a mass grave and commingled and marked as unknown. This is about 10 miles away from Pearl Harbor. And listen, this is the aftermath of Pearl Harbor, and obviously it was a surprise attack, and it was a kind of mayhem. And at the time, I don't think a whole lot of thought was given to this. Now, the USS Arizona is sacred ground, and it is the memorial for Pearl Harbor, and it's an astounding experience to go there and witness it and see it. And the entire Pearl Harbor exhibit that's in Hawaii. If you're ever there, it's just like one afternoon away from going to the beach and go to the Pearl Harbor exhibit. It's incredible. And it has been Kevin Kline's mission for the last several years to try to acknowledge these crew members and reintroduce their remains to where they belong. They belong to be either there are a couple of people who would like their loved ones' remains actually buried in a plot that they've already received. This is what Kevin Kline told us Monday morning. But most of the families would like those remains removed from this grave, put back at the memorial. And by the way, I just saw they just did an operation this weekend where the cremated remains of one of the sailors from the Arizona was actually, they had some Navy divers bring them down in a box and put them down under the Arizona and place them in the memorial place. So this is not unprecedented. But Mr. Kline, we had him on to draw attention to his cause and to his mission, which has become his main focus here in life, to try to get the Pentagon to acknowledge what's going on here and then get these remains sort of identified and then have the names of those crew members emblazoned back onto the memorial space there at the Arizona. Well, we've got an update on this story if you were listening on Monday. Mr. Kline posted a picture of himself at the Pentagon yesterday and said, that, I'll quote him now, "We had an incredibly productive meeting with the Undersecretary of War and his team at the Pentagon. We discussed the progress of Operation 85. We formally presented the case of Seaman First Class Earl Leroy Morrison of the USS Arizona for consideration. The meeting went extremely well, and I left confident that our mission is continuing to move in the right direction. Thank you for your attention to this matter," he says at the end of it.
That's great news, Larry.
So, yeah, these were bodies that were, obviously damaged, vaporized, many remains, and they've been buried, and they were given their, and some of the bodies were unrecoverable too, so their names were just put onto a mass memorial 10 miles away, but they aren't included at the USS Arizona. So there's this should be something that's pretty easy to accomplish. It just needed the right attention paid to it, and hopefully we helped in that cause, because that sounds like great progress. We talked to him on Monday, and by Thursday he had a meeting at the Pentagon.
There you go. I mean, I think it's so important that we have people like this who are carrying on the mission, not just of honoring these incredible service members who lost their life in one of the most consequential battles in our history, but also that we are reminded of what happened that day. My husband and I showed the boys, I think one of the movies based on that day, and they were shocked that the United States had been attacked. It was the first time in history, and they couldn't have imagined. They said, well, where did the guys go when they went in that water? And it was so hot and fiery. We probably fast forwarded it through a couple of different scenes.
No, but it's important to tell them. It's like that's their grave now. That's their grave. That ship in the bottom of the harbor there, that is a mass grave now for all of those incredible heroes that died that day. And that's what happens in the military. A lot of times they call it a war grave, and that ends up being their final resting place. Yeah. Well,
I love this story. I love the fact that the Department of War seems to be moving ahead with this with this mission, and that we are reminded again of the sacrifice of so many for the freedom that we enjoy generations later. And I hope that we continue to have these stories every year, so that the new generations don't forget, and this is not lost to history.
Great timing, too, on the eve of the Army-Navy game and right before the holidays that we have.
I have been hearing about this game for weeks now, Larry.
Tomorrow's
including I saw you on Wednesday in your Navy gear.
In my Navy gear on my show. Yeah, I know. Well, we're hyped. We're ready. I'm going to be sitting in the Sean Spicer section of the stadium.
Ooh. Are they serving crumpets and tea, or?
Oh, it's not that kind of game. How dare you? No. Oh, although, yes, he is pretty fancy, that Sean Spicer.
I'm in fancy side.
Yes. We're pretty excited about it. We'll have more talk about the game. But, yeah, congratulations, Kevin. I'm glad that we're advancing the story for you. And by the way, I don't know which movie you watched, if it was Pearl Harbor.
It was Pearl Harbor.
The Ben Affleck movie. It's not bad, actually.
The Ben Affleck
I know the guy who was the comms person for the Pentagon to sort of do movie liaisons on that film. He's retired captain now. He's a great guy, but Kevin Wensing. But at the time, he worked for the Pentagon, and he was sort of the Navy advisor on that. It's pretty authentic. But I want to tell you one other. If your kids like war movies, check out the film Midway.
We've seen it too.
You did. It's great because it starts with Pearl Harbor. But then it's got a happy ending because you see that
Midway was really good.
How we punched him back and won at Midway, which was the turning point of the war in the Pacific. Really good film. It's 5:23.
All right, you knew this was going to happen. I knew this was going to happen. The dual Republican and Democratic bills on the Obamacare subsidies, they both went down in a crashing, burning heap of fire. All right, so what's next? What's going to happen? We're going to we've got some updates for you. We'll explain what's happening next. And, what's the way forward on health care? Actually, Republicans have some ideas. I just don't think they're getting out there. Stay with us. We're going to talk through these and more. It's O'Connor and Company at 5:30.
WMAL-FM Woodbridge, Washington, a Cumulus media station. Making sense of the news. News Talk 105.9. News now. Now on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
It's 5:37 now, and you're listening to O'Connor and Company. Thanks for tuning in. At 7:05, Alex Sawyer with the Washington Times will give us her analysis of a pretty important week on the Supreme Court docket. Plus, at 8:05, Andrew Kerr, investigative reporter for the Washington Free Beacon, has uncovered more lies about Wes Moore's past. He's quite the fabulist. Hey, let me ask you something, Patrice. If you were a doctoral candidate at Oxford and you wrote your paper, would you still have a copy of your paper, do you think?
Of course.
Yeah.
I mean, well, no, because all my old laptops are gone at this point. But yeah, maybe your thesis? Sure, of course your thesis. You'd probably make it into a book.
Thank you. Yeah. Wes Moore can't find his. He says he doesn't have one. Don't you think your parents would have kept one? Don't you think? I mean, especially if you did it back, back in the day. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Interesting. 8:35. Brian Darling will join us. Talk about the heated debate that's about to be endeavored in the Senate over health care. Endeavored? Did I do that right? That's Patrice Onwuka. I'm Larry O'Connor. Patrice, the battle is heating up here. It seems to me with healthcare legislation, there's a short-term, mid-term, and long-term problem here.
Yes.
Short-term is the subsidies for the Affordable Care Act are about to dry up. These were extended temporarily for, 6 or 8 weeks, I think, after the government shutdown. Democrats claimed that this was the reason for the Democrat shutdown, the government shutdown. They wanted to prop up these subsidies. Well, they need to do something about the subsidies again. If they want, or they will have people who are currently in the networks and getting Obamacare coverage, their increase of their premiums are going to go sky high. So they got to figure that out first. Schumer is demanding a 3-year extension, and do the math. Figure out how that fits right into the presidential election of 2028, and you'll see why they want a 3-year extension. And by the way, I want to reiterate, these subsidies are COVID emergency subsidies.
Yes.
They were put in place for the COVID pandemic as an emergency stopgap. And the Democrats want to extend those for 3 more years. Now, that is obvious.
And remember, Larry, the Democrats determined that they should expire. This was the Democrat deadline this year that Democrats set. And these are not just to low income and poor Americans. These are to more upper middle class and upper class families who still are, find it expensive. So we're not talking about, your working class Joe subsidies for those families. We're talking about people with 6 figures, nice 6-figure family earnings, So let's be real about who these subsidies are really for and who set this deadline.
That's a very, very good point, an important point. The the midterm problem that needs to be solved with the Affordable Care Act, I think, is to, yes, get some kind of subsidy in here just for political purposes because they don't have time to really get something going. But then in the midterm, between now and, say, the midterm elections, start fixing what's inherently broken in this system.
Yes.
They're not going to be able to throw out Obamacare and replace it with something else just like that. There's going to have to be a process. And part of the process is slowly starting to fix what Obamacare is and make changes to it. For instance, instead of money going directly to the insurance companies, money should go, this is what Trump's proposal and Senator Bill Cassidy's proposal is, money will go directly to a health savings account that the government funds in your name.
Yes.
And you can then access that money to purchase insurance on the open market. So you're the customer, you're the consumer. The insurance companies have to accommodate you and the market demands rather than having one customer, the federal government. Because the federal government has not been a very discerning customer here for all of the insurance that they're buying for you. And that's one of the reasons why premiums have gone sky high. Also, when the dollars go straight to the insurance company instead of into your account, the insurance company immediately takes like 20% for their profit. And then whatever's left over, they offer you coverage for it. No, you get the money, then you can work out the best deal for yourself and for your family. That keeps Obamacare in place, theoretically, but it changes one major mechanism, and that is who is the actual purchaser of the insurance, and it should always go back to us. And then the long-term plan is to get rid of Obamacare and move us back to a more free market-oriented program where people who are young and healthy can get, major medical in case of a catastrophe, but then they can buy basic things out of pocket where everything's going to be cheaper. So you need to get a blood work done or a physical exam or, a mole removed or whatever. You go in, you negotiate it yourself, you handle it. Because right now, when you buy car insurance, you buy insurance for a catastrophic accident, major liability, collision, but then you go out of pocket for your gas, for your oil change, for new brake pads, for tires, things like that. With Obamacare, your insurance covers filling your tank up with gas, right?
Yeah.
If there's an analogy, if you were to cover your car the way you cover your body. And if you're young and if you're healthy, you should be able to get your major, your collision and your liability, but then go out of pocket for your day-to-day or month-to-month or year-to-year medical expenses. Anyway, that's where hopefully we can move toward. But this short-term pinch is going to be a problem because politically, the Democrats just voted, Patrice, unanimously to not negotiate with Republicans.
Yeah. So they voted down the Republican bill introduced by Senator Bernie Moreno from Ohio. It would have extended the health care insurance premium subsidies for 2 years. But here's the rub, limiting availability to only households earning less than $200,000. So, still some, upper middle class families, but we're not talking about families making $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 who were able to qualify for these subsidies. And the Republican bill also would have required low-income Americans who are on the Obamacare marketplace to pay at least $25 monthly premium. So, have some skin in the game.
$25.
Everybody needs some skin in the game, right? And so that gets voted down.
But the Democrat caucus in the Democrat minority in the House and the Senate, they just had their conference and they all voted not to negotiate with Republicans on this, which, by the way, I thought was the whole point of the shutdown. I thought they wanted to have the president come and sit with us and negotiate, have Speaker Johnson sit. All they wanted was to negotiate. That was the whole reason for the shutdown. Now they're saying we're not going to negotiate. It's typical. And Democrats continue to push for a Medicare for All solution, which means basically Canada's healthcare system. Right now, if you need a CT scan in Canada, you wait 8 weeks. Ultrasound, 5 weeks. MRI, 18 weeks. Median wait time for basic elective treatments in Canada, over 29 weeks. And that's the gold standard that Bernie Sanders wants us to move to here.
I'm so glad you laid that out, Larry, because that's what we always hear. Oh, let's just do what Canada does or some of those other socialized medicine countries do. And they don't actually talk about what the care that's delivered looks like. I don't know, if I'm pregnant and I've got to wait 5 weeks for an ultrasound to even find out what the baby, if a lot can happen in 5 weeks because during the gestational cycle. Same thing with an X-ray. A lot can happen to your broken pinky toe, which I broke last year, in 5 weeks.
I forgot about that. Yeah. Well, thank you to Steve Moore, a friend of the program, who offered up all of those data points for us to share with you. It's 5:44. Something bizarre is going on over at CNN. Well, that's sort of an evergreen headline. If you're in the news business, one of those N's in CNN means news, doesn't it, Patrice? I think.
I thought so, but
Yeah, I can't remember which one. If you're in the news business, you would think that part of informing your audience and educating them and keeping them up to date on the news would be to engage with members of the government who are influential, powerful, and actually newsmakers. Yeah, and one of the most influential and powerful newsmakers in the Trump administration would be the Deputy Chief of Staff, Stephen Miller, right? Stephen Miller used to go on CNN quite a bit, and of course CNN, they didn't look very good because Stephen Miller would call them out on their bias live on the air and kind of shine a light on the way, the agenda that CNN had when engaged in an interview with Mr. Miller. He didn't take any garbage from them. Yeah. And sort of pointed out to the audience watching how slanted the coverage was, right? It was really engaging stuff. So now Stephen Miller, the other night on Fox News, revealed something pretty astounding about CNN.
So over the last few days, our brilliant White House communications shop has reached out to CNN, which of course is running one fake news hit piece after another, and they said Stephen Miller would like to come on your network to rebut any of these lies. And they asked what show. They said Stephen Miller will do any show from dawn to dusk. They said what topic. The White House said Stephen is available to discuss any topic with any host at any time. As far as you're concerned, Stephen has no scheduling conflicts at all. He will make himself available from the first hour of air to the last hour of air on any subject. And you know what CNN's response was? We will not take him, period, for any show on any topic. That is completely true, Sean.
Amazing. I'd love the way they set that up, that he's willing to come on. Really? What time? What topic? As if, if the time and topic were right, then they'd be fine to have him. And they said any show, any time, 5 a.m. to midnight, any topic. And they said, no, we're not interested. Understand something. Beyond that just being a dereliction of duty for a news organization when you've got quite possibly the most influential advisor of the president wanting to come on to talk about issues. But they spend all of their days programming criticizing, mischaracterizing, sliming, not just the president's policies that Mr. Miller would like to talk about, but Mr. Miller himself. How many times do we have Jasmine Crockett? Jasmine Crockett is on every show on CNN.
Oh, of course.
That's the kind of content they want for their viewers, Jasmine Crockett, versus an intellect like Stephen Miller. But then while they're on, they actually call Stephen Miller a Nazi, and they don't let Stephen Miller on to speak for himself. So now there is apparently a silver lining here. CNN has responded to these criticisms, and this. Do you want to hear their statement? Not that we.
Yeah, let's read it.
Here's what they say. Members of this administration, including Stephen Miller, are welcome to come on our air. As a news organization, we make editorial decisions about the stories we cover and when, and that depends on the news priorities of the day. We look forward to having Stephen on again in the future as the news warrants.
Oh,
Nobody
that is such a crock. That is such a load.
It is.
I mean, we look forward to having him on in the future as the news warrants and depends on the news priorities. So every single thing in Stephen Miller's portfolio is what they cover, from crime to immigration. I mean, he dabbles in the economy, but the regulatory angle. I mean, everything that he has his hands on is a news priority of the day. It is. Really, the issue is they don't want him on. And so this is a total cop-out. But listen, CNN can't out MSNBC, or NBC Now, or whatever their name is. So they can go as far to the left as they think they want to be, and they're still not going to recapture the market share of the radicals who listen.
Yeah.
Maybe they should come back to the middle, and maybe they can recapture who News Nation has stolen from them, because otherwise they're just going to find themselves in oblivion.
Can I tell you why CNN doesn't want to book Stephen Miller? Because the hosts don't want to be humiliated by Stephen Miller. Here's an example.
If a Democratic president someday calls the National Guard to a red state over what they see as open rebellion, but is what amounts to a demonstration that gets rowdy. I mean, is that not a fear of
they're posting
yours?
pictures of their kids because it's a demonstration, and they have a sniper on top of a building firing a high-caliber rifle at a nice facility because it's a demonstration, and they are engaging in vehicle ramming.
But the National Guard isn't being sent to Texas.
Because it's a
the National Guard
demonstration.
isn't being sent to Dallas, where that sniper was.
Because the Dallas Police Department and the governor of Texas, well, you walked right into that one, have responded to every call for assistance and help. They gave a stand-down order in Chicago, and they gave a stand-down order in Portland.
This is why they don't want Stephen Miller on their programs. Or how about this one?
People. That this immigration crackdown is designed to go after people of color.
It's such a, oh, what a dumb question.
This is why they don't want to book Stephen Miller, because they are so used to their venomous slander and defamation of people that work in the Trump administration, and they're used to Republicans just swallowing the bile in the back of their throat,
and then apologizing and being snidely.
I'm going to stay on the high ground. I'm not going to lower myself to respond to that. And Stephen Miller doesn't, and that's why. So we'll be interested to see Stephen Miller's next appearance. Meanwhile, we'd love to let Mr. Miller know and his staff know. We'd love to have him on. We think he's great.
Anytime.
I think he sleeps in. It's like I saw him last week, and I said, hey, and it's like, oh, that's so early. It's like, come on, man. It's 5:54.